Good morning. We are in the town of Trappe, Pennsylvania, and you're looking at the Augustus Lutheran Church, established or built in 1743, and this is the oldest Lutheran church in America that exists today, and it's serviced by the same congregation that existed back in 1743. And also Trappe is the home of our 6 times great-grandparents, Jacob Bruch and Marguerite Welsh, and also our 5 times great-grandparents, Tobias Finkbeiner and his wife Maria Dorothea. And so in 1717, when the Lutherans first arrived and founded this town, there were no churches and they had no spiritual guidance, so they congregated in their local barns and their local homes, but they didn't really have a structure. And when our 6 times great-grandfather Jacob, he was working as an indentured servant down in Germantown, and he was relieved of his indenture in 1732 and headed up here where he got married to Marguerite Welsh. And so the town still met in barns without local leadership until they solicited the help of Henry Muhlenberg from Germany. And Henry Muhlenberg came out in 1742 and he helped build this church right here. Now Henry Muhlenberg is known as the father of Lutheran religion in America. The register we could find evidence of Conrad Bruch, who's our 5 times great-grandfather, and he was the son of Jacob Bruch. Now Conrad moved out in 1766, around that time frame, and he moved out to Maryland, a place called New Windsor, and we'll visit that later in our tour. And in the cemetery back here are the headstones of the people who were members of this congregation. Jacob Bruch and his wife are out there, and so are Tobias Finkbeiner and his wife. And these are the burial grounds, cemetery, and it's home to our 6 times great-grandparents, Jacob Bruch and his wife, Eva Marguerite Welsh, and also our 5 times great-grandparents, Tobias Finkbeiner and his wife, Maria Dorothea. Unfortunately, a lot of the headstones are not legible, and it's going to be tough to even find out exactly where they're buried. There's been efforts to identify all the stones, but unfortunately, our headstones of the Bruchs and the Finkbeiners, we won't be able to find. In September of 1777, George Washington lost control of Philadelphia to the British at the Battle of Brandywine Creek and Schuylkill River. And he had to retreat about 30 miles to the north up here to this town of Trappe. The congregation of Augustus Lutheran Church, they were here as George Washington and his troops, they marched down Main Street. This is Main Street. And who do we find with George Washington's troop? Is a fellow named Michael Hassler Jr. And Michael Hassler Jr. is the younger brother of our 5 times great-grandfather, Joseph Hassler. And his injured soldiers were taken care of in this church. As well, George Washington set up his encampments around the church in the vicinity in order to plan his counterattack in Germantown, which occurred on October the 4th. This site also helped provide provisions and supplies to George Washington's soldiers when they were encamped at Valley Forge, which is about 5 miles south of here. And this also served as a platform or launch center for George Washington's attack on Germantown in October 4th of 1777. As he headed down Main Street, this street leads down to Germantown. And Germantown, the famous battle on October 4th, 1777, was when George Washington made an attempt to take Germantown. But he failed, and he had to retreat again back to the small recluse we know as Valley Forge, which is about 5 miles south of Trappe. And we'll visit Valley Forge a little later, and we'll also visit Germantown. Thank you very much.